What's up, guys? We are on O, which is over communicate. And if you are coming on this randomly on YouTube, this is part of a whole series from A to Z in the alphabet about launching big things. Most of the time, what we are talking about is launching churches, launching new ministries, but these principles will work with whatever you're launching. So enjoy this video. In this particular section of all of these insights and key things you need to be doing, key applications you need to be adding to your process of launching, this one is to over communicate everything. I heard an illustration once and it stuck with me forever. It was a long time ago, and it was this guy who always talked about funnels. Probably got it from like Rick Warren or something, but it was like these funnels of out here on this big section where you're trying to reach a lot of people. That funnel's big, and then as it gets smaller and smaller, you're getting people more and more into your organization and make them whatever it is down here. So he always talked about funnels. And so he talked about funnels so much that he comes in one day and his office has been completely covered in funnels. They have it hanging from the ceiling. It's on all his lights. It's on his desk, funnels across the front. And they all laugh it off, but he's talking to a mentor and he says, I was a little bothered that they were making a joke out of my funnels. Like, I'm really serious about this funnel thing. And the mentor's like, no, dude, you don't get it. This is huge. You have spoken a concept so well and so often. You have it in every part of your speech. It has been burned into your staff's brain. 9 times out of 10, it's the opposite. Most people have no idea what the vision is for their organization and don't have like a cool illustration to go with it. And so they're always kind of guessing. Take this as a massive compliment that they all know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And that just hit me. I'm like, oh man, I'm not sure everyone knows my vision in most things I'm doing. I need to always have those types of illustrations burning into my team, making sure I'm focused and the entire organization is focused on what it is we're doing. Most leaders, here's what happens. They read a book, right? And then they love the book and they love the principles of the book, and they bring it to their staff and go, dude, we've got to follow this book. Check it out. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And then everyone on the team is like, yeah, that's good. That's really good. And so they all get on board. The whole organization gets and moves in this new direction. And then the leader reads the new book. And that new book with the new thing, the new shiny object, the new principles, they bring that book and go, guys, check this out. There's these groups, these organizations are growing because they're following this book. And everyone's like, okay, so we're done with the last one and we're moving into the new one. And that happens over and over and over again. I mean, be honest. How many leaders have you followed that just the next book always is moving and changing the mission, the core values, whatever it is that's moving forward, just the illustration of what we're following? It is so hard to keep an organization excited about the next shiny thing when the next shiny thing constantly is changing. We have to be over communicating the overall image of what we are about. Most organizations, they are literally just talking about the year, just talking about the next couple months, or in the church world, just the next sermon series. Here's what we're trying to do with this. We have to have a much bigger over communication of this is what our organization is about. And as we launch it, we burn that into our team. And our team is constantly hearing, this is what our organization is about. This is what it's about. This is why we do what we do. And they have it so burned in their brain that maybe you walk in one day and they put funnels all over your office because they hear what we're all about and they get it. So what I want to do with this video is I want to talk about the why. Why is over communication so important? I want to talk about how do we communicate this concept? And then third, what are some of the new and best practices in this area? Just a few cool little things that I've come across. So let's talk about the why. Why is over communication so important? You have said the answer or the vision. You have told them what to do. Why don't they just get it? I mean, this is an obvious thought, but 25 misunderstandings later, we will eventually understand that I don't think they quite got the vision of what we're doing. 25 misunderstandings later, you're like, maybe I'm not communicating well. Maybe it's me, not them. Because at first it's them. But there's a few, after a while, you start to go, I must not be communicating well what we're all about, because I keep seeing us go so off target. Now, what we're not talking about is oversharing or dumping every thought to your team. This is the micromanaging, making sure that you are like involved in every aspect and making sure they do it exactly like you want. You don't want to blow up your team's email boxes with every thought in your head. We're talking about the bigger picture items that you incorporate into everything you do and say as the underlining theme of what you do. Your goal is understanding and alignment, not to waste time. The key to successful overcommunication is prioritizing and delivering the right information at the right time, especially in times of change, in times of crisis, those kind of moments. Clarify, you have to reinforce these key messages over and over and over of what your organization is all about, the mission and vision of who you are. So how do we overcommunicate? All right, let's start with that. First thing we do in overcommunication, simplify the message. Simplify the message. Remember that funnel example. Everyone could visualize the main vision of the company through this funnel. It was an easy way for everyone to understand. That funnel was about like 5 steps, and each step had huge pieces to it and what they did and programs and everything. But the funnel kept everyone focused on what was the key thing that you're doing. What is the key of the overall mission? So they had simplified the message into one concept. We have to be concise, straightforward, let everyone know why we exist and what we are supposed to be doing. Be hyper-focused with what points or information that you're trying to communicate. This is not like the brainstorming, vague, abstract time where you get your team to theorize together. No, this is who we are and what we're trying to accomplish, and it's got to be a simple message. Simplify that message. Second thing, you want to have short and frequent check-ins, okay? Avoid the long meetings, as the death by meeting is real. There's just so many leaders that love meetings, and we say we don't, but we keep calling meetings that are really long, so we must. So death by meeting is real. Have more meetings, okay? This is gonna sound counterintuitive. Have more meetings that are short and singular focused. We're going to accomplish this. We're gonna do it in 30 minutes, so everyone be ready and focused. Let's go. We got one thing on the agenda. We have 30 minutes for it. Everyone, let's go. That's how you want to be very short and frequent with these meetings to keep everyone on track. Otherwise, that 2-hour meeting that goes and goes and goes, by the end of it, your brain is just like mush and you can't even remember what you talked about. Short and frequent check-ins. Have more meetings when you pass the hallways. When you have more meetings when you're passing in the hallways. I always encourage leaders, I don't know how many times I've told a leader, walk slowly when you're in hallways, okay? There's always those leaders that just walk with purpose, and we're kind of like, dang, that guy walks with purpose. I would highly suggest against that. Instead, walk slowly in the hallway, because when you're in the hallway, that's where some of the most valuable conversations take place. These quick conversations as you're getting your coffee, the water cooler, all those things, those quick conversations, just saying like, yeah, I'm working on this, or I'm talking to Bob, I'm doing this. Those quick conversations can make the slight adjustments early in the process of whatever the process is that's being worked on. Those little quick adjustments puts them on a trajectory that just slightly moves it in the right direction, as opposed to them moving further and further and further until you have to have a 2-hour meeting going, how did this get so far off track? How did we get so off track? Those quick hallway meetings, those quick check-ins, just keeps it lined to where you can have a quicker meeting in the end. You're saving yourself time by walking slower in the hallway. Just a great little, that's worth the whole price of this free video. I would also say this, those longer meetings, do a 3-day retreat in the woods once a year. And you can go 3 days where you're having a blast together, having meeting after meeting after meeting, and everyone loves that. You can even do a couple a year that are an all-day meeting. It's just that every week 2-hour meeting, or every other week 2-hour meeting, 3-hour meeting, that's death by meeting. Move those down to very quick one-topic issues, and then have the all-day retreat where you're covering a bunch of stuff, or the 3-day retreat where you cover the next 10 years. Those are fun. Everyone loves those. But watch out for death by meeting. Third, the how in over-communication. Breakfast and lunch make the best meetings. You have a breakfast and a lunch every day, okay? Don't do those alone. I know that some people like that quiet time to get alone and have breakfast and lunch, but man, you're missing an opportunity to eat together. When you're eating and you're kind of doing something and just sort of talking in a more of a relaxed atmosphere, so much more communication and accomplishment happens. Use breakfast and lunch, and then take your break time where you just want to be alone or something at other times. Breakfast and lunch. You will save yourself so much small talk by just ordering, starting to eat, and then jumping right into the subject. It's huge. Try and schedule a meeting for every breakfast and lunch that you have, and you will find that you accomplish much more. And the over communication over a meal is stronger. I promise you, it's stronger. Fourth, communicate quickly, good news and bad news. Something good happens, get that info out quick. Something bad happens, communicate about it quick. We're always sort of waiting on bad news. Don't do this. These changes, the uncertainty, the struggle, you're like the whole process, everything got jacked up, and you're like, okay, I've got to figure this out before I send something out to my team. What's our plan forward? I can't just say that we got this new struggle, this new problem. I got to give them here's our answer to it. No, you don't. Over communication is when you say, here's what just happened, and here's what we're going to process. Here's some steps that we're going to just think through. We don't have the answer yet, but we're working on it. That builds trust with your team. How many team dynamics, how many organizations or companies would say, I just don't trust the leadership? How many? I mean, I hear it all the time, right? The trust of an organization. The reason they don't trust is they're always in the dark. And then they go to some meeting. I just had this happen. A guy who I was on this team with them, we were working on this whole program, and then something major happened in the world. You guys might know it. It's a pandemic, and I don't know when you're watching this video, but something major happened, and they went dark. And I understood. I mean, the whole world went dark. It was crazy time. I'm currently still in it. 5 months later, they call me up, and they're like, okay, here's what we've decided. Here's what we're going to do. And they had a whole plan. And I go, that's great. Good luck with that. I don't want to be involved anymore, because I had no process in the plan. I didn't mean that in a mean way. I just meant I got so many other things that I started working on that I can't be involved with this. It was a volunteer thing, not a job thing. Job's different, but it was a volunteer thing. And I go, I don't have time to do that. And you've come up with a whole plan that I don't have time for. I've jumped into all these other things. Like, why didn't you communicate any aspect of what you were working on? You didn't have to include me, but I just needed to know, okay, we're still doing this. We're still doing this. I'm working on this. I'm trying to figure out this. Over communicate good things that happen and bad things that happen, and you will build a trust in your organization, and they'll go the distance with you when you do that. Okay, finally, what are some of the best practices, some of the new stuff I've been seeing? The first one's all about clarity. Clarity in your vision. Here's your homework assignment. And it should already be done, really. When you worked on your elevator pitch in C, if you're following along with these videos, you clarified your vision, your mission, your core values, your strategy, all of that stuff. You have it down to a few sentences. So now what I want you to do is create an illustration of your organization. This is some of the best stuff I'm seeing coming out. When there is an illustration that goes with the mission forward, the illustration is what sticks in the brain. You got to put something on it. I want to give an example, but nothing's popping in my head. But think about the funnel earlier. Having a funnel as your illustration. You know, most organizations have some kind of, you know, the Amazon smile on the box, the Twitter bird. That's kind of what I'm talking about, but it's much better when it really fits your mission forward. How does your illustration say exactly who you are? That's your homework. Come up with something that really clarifies your vision, gets your organization focused, directed, all running in the same direction, and something you can hold on to for 3, 5, 10 plus years. This will really, I mean, it has to be clear. It needs to be something that everyone can see themselves in, something that they want to work hard for, something that serves the common good in our world. People will need to know that their own self-interest will be served in working in this vision. That sounds terrible for like church world, but it's just how, like, volunteers, anyone, how do I fit into this? How does it effectively help me? And then how can I help the world by being involved in this? All that needs to be in whatever it is that you're doing, whatever you're creating with this vision. It has to be crystal clear, consistent, compelling. It's got to be compelling. And go into what's that unique problem that we're solving that we discussed earlier in these videos. It's compelling to solve a problem, and you can be part of it. And here's the illustration of how. That's what people, they want to be difference makers. They want to be involved in something that's bigger than themselves. At first, we think about ourselves, but eventually it has to be bigger than ourselves. And that's what people want to jump into. So clarity, your homework, make something that illustrates where you're going, and then over communicate it that everybody in your organization knows all about it. This is what we're all about. Homework assignment number 2 is, I call it rocks. So this is an old youth pastor illustration. I would bring in this glass bottle or jug, if you will, and I would dump some big rocks into it, okay? And I would ask them, all right, is it full? And they'd all be like, yeah. And I'd go, really? So then I'd take pebbles, like little pebbles, and drop the pebbles all around the rocks. And they would say, then I would say, is it full? And they'd be like, yeah, because they start to wonder, and I go, oh, okay. And so then I get sand, and I dump sand in all the little cracks between the pebbles, and I'd ask them, okay, is it full now? And they'd be like, maybe. I go, you're getting it. And I'd pull out water, and I would dump water in there and go, there was still room for more. And then I would say, okay, what's the point? And everyone's like, you can always add more. I'm like, no. And they would, it was fun. It was awesome. It was, yeah. Anyway, and so they'd have all these ideas of what it was, and I would then go at the very end and say, the point was, if you don't put in the big rocks first, you'll never be able to add them later. And I was like, oh, mind blown. No. Here's homework assignment 2. What are your big rocks? See, the sand, the water, the pebbles, that's the daily tasks. That's the agenda. That's the phone call. That's the person walking in randomly. You will have that, and it will absolutely clutter anything you're trying to accomplish. That will always happen. So if you don't put in the big rocks, this is what we're all about. If you don't over communicate, these are the big rocks. If you don't do that, then all the surprise email, the surprise phone call, the bad letter, the person walking in, the agenda, someone that wants to talk to you, that will overtake whatever you're trying to do. So you got to put the big rocks in, and you got to over communicate. These are the big things we're all about. I want you to do 3 to 7 big rocks. And here, I have a whole process for this. I call it my vision operating system. But here's just the quick, dirty version. Every 90 days, you look at the big rocks. Or I should say that differently. You adjust your big rocks, or you see how you're doing with your big rocks. You set new agenda items with your big rocks. I'm getting a little off track, so let me back up. So what are your big rocks that you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? You have 3 to 7 of those. If you have more, then you're just writing everything down. I actually don't like 7. I like 3 to 5, but some people can't handle that. So 3 to 7 big things that you're all about over the next 90 days. You have much bigger ones, but I'm guessing those are mission core value things, and you created something that sort of illustrates that. This is the over communication of here's what we're doing in the next 90 days. This is what we have to accomplish in the next 90 days. You've got to over communicate this. Now, those 3 to 7 things will then have people underneath that are all doing 3 to 7 things to accomplish the bigger things, okay? I get that. There's all kinds of things that have to be accomplished, and you have team members that have big things that they have to accomplish. But every 90 days, you have to over communicate. This is the next 3 to 7 things we have to do in the next 90 days. The big rocks. You got to over communicate that. I have been to so many organizations, when I ask them, all right, tell me like the big things you're going to do in the next 90 days. They're like, well, we want to, and they're just making it up off the top of their head. And it's just all over the place because the leader does not over communicate. He does not over communicate. This is where we're going in the next 90 days. Then this is where we're going in the next 90 days. Then this is where we're going in the next 90 days. You see, if you have a leader like that continues to push, these are the big rocks for the next 90 days, you're going to go somewhere. You are definitely moving in a direction. We can talk about where that direction is with your mission, your core values and all that, but be the type of leader that over communicates. This is where we're going. These are the big rocks. This is the next 90 days, and we're going to do it together. Imagine that. Imagine the kind of leader that communicates like that. Over communicates to his team. Gets them excited about illustrations. Gets them excited about what they're all about. Doesn't that sound great? I've just been in so many companies, so many churches, so many organizations that don't do that. So let's be different. Let's be over communicators so we can accomplish big things for God. Hope this was helpful. You have your 2 homework assignments. If I'm personally coaching you, make sure you have those 2 things done. Can't wait to meet with you. Bring those with you to our meeting. If you're watching this randomly and you want to jump on board, hit me up with a comment, DM me, subscribe, like, all those kind of things so that you can get more of these messages. Would love to have you on the team, talk about launching some big stuff, especially for God. We're really trying to do big things for God. Would love to have you on the team. So if you're watching it randomly, message me, let me know. Love to have you. All right.